Well, good afternoon, shooting fans. Hope all is well with you. I decided to make a video on some 22 long rifle match ammo testing that I've been doing the last couple of days. A while back I went on YouTube and trying to find some good information on some match ammo testing, and I clicked on this one video, website Shoot to Kill, that supposedly was match ammo versus standard ammunition. I thought that would be good to watch. And click on the video, and what do I see? I see a guy shooting about a 50-year-old rifle with about a 50-year-old scope on it, off of sandbags. A scope, you know, the length of the barrel, almost the length of the barrel and about the diameter of a dime. Now don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful rifle. Really cool scope, I thought. I'd like to have that set up, but I definitely wouldn't be testing match ammo with it. And then the topper was, there he is, shoot and see targets, like I said, off of sandbags. Now, I'm not saying you can't stabilize a rifle well off of sandbags. You can. But unless you're really good at it and extremely consistent, it's just not going to be stable enough to get a real, to get the most accurate information you can from the ammo that you're testing. You have to really be able to stabilize that rifle. Plus, if you're shooting match ammo, you need to be shooting it out of a match barrel with a match chamber. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the quite actually subtle differences between match ammo and the standard ammunition. So that being said, I decided to make a video that hopefully will be an honest test for the ammunition and done as accurately as I possibly can. And hopefully this will, help people out with some information they may be looking for. So let's get started here. First off, the equipment I used. The rifle you're looking at started out life as a CZ 455 Tactical. I sent it off to a gentleman, his name is Don Smith, out of New York. Probably the premier 22 tuner in the country, I would think, at least for Anschutz and CZs. And he built me this beautiful rifle using my 455 action, which he has reworked to his specifications. The rifle has a 2-groove benchmark match barrel, obviously. My scope is a Vortex Golden Eagle 15 by 60 power. The rifle is bedded in a Klinsky stock. Now, yeah, you're looking at the stock and you're going, what's that? Well, what that is I didn't want a dedicated Benchrest rifle stock. But I wanted one that I could use for Benchrest. So I got the Klinsky, and initially I was pretty happy with it. It's got a pretty good sized base on there, about a 2-inch base. And it stabilizes the rifle. You can stabilize the rifle quite well with that. But the problem is that it's not so evident here, but the forearm does have a slope to it, a slight angle. And of course, every time you shot, you had to reacquire your elevation, and it just wasn't convenient, I guess, especially when you're shooting a match. That time adds up, and it's time away from your shooting, and you end up feeling rushed to get the card shot, and it just wasn't working out for me. So another gentleman who builds some beautiful stocks, beautiful Benchrest stocks, made me this adapter for it. And so now, of course, it's not at an angle. He really nailed the angle in the adapter to basically zero it out. The forearm has a rail that goes down the center of it for bipods, and this just slides into the rail. Tighten it down, and you got yourself a Benchrest rifle. He also added another rail on the back here for me, so that it would slide in its rest easily. My front rest is a eagle rest with I've changed out the top part to a joystick. It's a great rest for, I think I paid $175 for this, and I tell you what, for the money you can't beat that rest. It's this one is they make them in aluminum, and they also make them in cast iron. This is a cast iron one, so it's got a lot of weight to it, very stable, especially for a 22. Don't think I'm so crazy about the joystick rest that I put on here. I mean, it's a good one. You know, it's stable and everything, but I don't know. There's something about it that I'm just not crazy about, and so I'm probably going to be changing that out shortly. As I said, the bolt has all been reworked by Mr. Smith, by Don Smith. Unfortunately, he has since retired, and I've had the rifle for about 9 months now, so I got one of the last ones that he did, and I feel very fortunate for that. The trigger, it's got a 1.5 ounce trigger on it. It was made by another gentleman by the name of John Langley. It's a absolutely beautiful trigger. It's I mean, there's no creep in it. Like I said, it's a consistent 1.5 ounces as measured on my Layman digital trigger gauge, I guess. So it's a yeah, it's a great trigger. I love that thing. It passes the bump test. You know, I've never had it misfire on me, you know, from cocking the bolt or locking the bolt down or putting the safety on and off. So it's a very safe trigger from that aspect. Of course, 1.5 ounces, you've got to be really careful with it though. So anyway, so that's the equipment I use. I also use my lab radar a lot. This thing is great. I basically use it every time I shoot. You know, every time I shoot anything now, just to be able to look up and see what the velocity of the ammo was, and you know, once you finish, you know, to see what the numbers on the series was. You know, your high and low, and extreme spread, and standard deviation. It's always good to have more information about what you're doing. Now about this tuner, I got this tuner shortly after I got the rifle. And I'll tell you, initially when I first put it on, I just, you know, I read about how to do it, and you know, shoot this group, and then you know, do one full turn or click, or you know, keep going on and on like that. So I started doing that, and I'll tell you, it just, I don't know, it's like I couldn't really tell one difference from one group to the next. I never really could find a setting on my own that actually shot better than what the rifle did without it. So I took it off, and it's been kind of sitting in a drawer for about the last 7 or 8 months. Well, I did find a formula that a gentleman by the name of Tony Purdy came up with, based on the length of the barrel. A formula that'll supposedly gives you ninth harmonic tune for your barrel, which is what you want for a 22. And so I pulled the tuner out literally about about a week ago now. Did the calculations, got it set up, took it out on September 5th actually, and tried it for the first time, and I'll be darned, I think I finally found a really good starting point. So I'm be doing a lot of testing with that. Some of what you'll see here was shot with the tuner, some prior to me getting it or setting it up. So I do have some comparisons of the same ammo with and without the tuner. So that's pretty good. As far as my targets go, I print them up. They're targets I print up, and I use a 67 weight paper. I found that 67 weight does a real good job of making nice little bullet holes that you can easily measure. And as opposed to the guy over at Shoot to Kill, I don't use a ruler to measure my groups. I actually use a very, a very good caliper. So it's a very accurate caliper. I like the dial ones better than the digital, and it's a Fowler, and it does a real good job. Okay, so let's get started here. Now, I apologize. I don't even have I'm just a guy here doing this with my iPhone. I don't have a quote video channel that I try to, make money off of or anything like that. It's just my own personal channel and stuff, things that I like to do. And, I'm definitely not somebody pretending like they know what they're talking about and leading a lot of people astray. So anyway, so let's get started here. This target was shot on the 2nd. Now, I will say also that I try to optimize the conditions as much as possible. So whenever I'm doing ammo testing and that sort of thing, I try to get out. I'm fortunate enough to be a member of a public or a private range, and we can start shooting at sunrise. Well, when I'm doing ammo testing and maybe shooting online matches and stuff like that, I am ready to start pulling the trigger as soon as the sun breaks the horizon. Two reasons, of course. One is that's generally pretty much zero wind conditions, and two, you're not getting the effects of ground heating and the mirage. You have at least a couple of maybe 3 hours. The 50-yard range is very protected by trees and stuff like that, so it stays in the shade for quite a long time. So you can get some good, accurate information about the ammo you're shooting if it's done in the early morning. So this was done on the 2nd of September. It was some Midas Plus that I got. Wasn't real thrilled with it initially. The average velocity 1062, extreme spread of 44, with a standard deviation of 8.9. I thought that was pretty high for $16, $17 a box ammunition. And that was that information was from 47 rounds. Those other 7 rounds are not on the card. They were Fowlers, because started out with a clean barrel. So anyway, so the first group started out really well. Those first 3 shots were the that little group you see down there at the 6 o'clock. And then 4 and 5 went left and right. So I don't really know what happened there. Didn't see much of a deviation on the velocities, but that could have been me. Next group tightened up somewhat, 2.10, not too bad. Next one opened up some, 3.77, 4.10, and so on and so forth. That one was pretty good, 0.275, but then it opened up again. So that was without the tuner. I wasn't real thrilled with those results. And I think what you see on the card is a pretty good reflection of what you see in the numbers here. Now, you're going to see later on that what you see on the numbers there, though, don't always reflect of what you see on the card. So that's another little interesting thing about 22s. So anyway, so that was that. Now, compare that to what I shot on the 5th. It shows 49 rounds there. Actually, there's 50 rounds on this card. Now, this time I did include the Fowlers, which would be on that first group right there. I've got it X'd out because I wasn't going to add that group into the average of all the groups. Oh, by the way, the average on these 8 groups was 0.397 with no tuner. So I wasn't gonna, like I said, I wasn't gonna include that in any averages, and so that's why I had X'd it out initially. But you can see there that that was pretty impressive, especially with a clean barrel. Now this is with the tuner set to the figure that I came up with from the calculations off of Mr. Purdy's tuning formula. First shot, pretty high. The next 4 showed a group of 0.252, I believe that's what that says. Next one was opened up a little bit, 0.417. But then things got interesting. At 223, 156, 215, 246. That one opened up some, 432 and 224. Now, for my center-to-center calculations, what I do is I'll find like a single shot, which it was that one there. I measure that, and that's that's the value I use to subtract from the total size of the group to get the center-to-center. And I do that per card because different ammunitions can show some variations in the bullet hole that it makes. So just to be as accurate as possible. But I was pretty thrilled with that, so I decided to let's shoot a couple more groups on here just for fun. So there's number 9, 232, and then 10 opened up a little bit to 0.325. So that was quite an improvement over not using the tuner. The extreme spread and standard deviations showed a little bit better on this one. Not much though. Extreme spread of 41 here. Sorry, there it is. 41 here with an standard deviation of 7.6, whereas before it was 44 and 8.9. So not too much of a difference, but a little bit of a difference. So anyway, with not including the cider group, my 9-group average was a 0.258. Now, just for fun, I did include the group, but subtracted that first round, and it came out to a 0.2524. So not a whole heck of a lot of difference. But that's quite consistent. That'll win you a match any day. So, okay, the next ammo I tried was the, oh, I'm sorry, I never did show the ammos here. Well, so there they are. Midas Plus, Federal Ultra Match, 10X, RWS R50, and some Wolf Match Target. The 10X showed a lot of good, what's the word I'm looking for? Not possibilities, but it looks like it could really shoot well out of this rifle. And actually, it did very well initially. 0.233. I was happy with that, but then it started opening up some. 0.39 or 0.387, 0.488, 0.359, 303. That's not too bad. 309, 448, 506. No tuner. For a group average or total average of 0.379. So not too bad, but once again, I wasn't crazy about the numbers I got. Average 1081, extreme spread of 40, and standard deviation of 8.5. Very similar to what the Midas Plus showed. All right, the next one we have here, now this was shot on the 31st, so this is no tuner. And it's the RWS 50, R50. And I was really not pleased with the numbers on this one. Extreme spread of 57 and an SD of 10.1. So that's pretty high up there for $18 a box ammo. And doesn't look like my rifle really likes it very much anyway. That .564, 0.536. And by the way, this is already with a foul barrel, so there's no sighters on here. 0.536, 0.423, 0.403. Yeah, really nothing in the threes. So for a total average of 0.520375. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any. I haven't shot this with the tuner yet, but I'm going to give it a try and see if it tightens this up some. Next, we have some Federal Ultra Match. We got a couple of lots on here. One's lot 591 and 596. I've been buying a lot of this stuff because it generally shoots quite well out of my rifle, and it always seems to show some very good numbers. This one is not quite as good as it should be, but at 591, extreme spread of 330, SD 9.1. This one was a little bit high, 49 and 11. Wasn't too crazy about that. But anyway, some pretty decent groups with these lot numbers. There's a 328, 461, 378, 349, for an average of 3.79 on those four groups. And lot 50 or 596, no tuner, 471, that wasn't good. 364, that wasn't too bad. 493, and 707, that was pretty bad. So 0.50875, no tuner. But shooting those same two lots with the tuner, now this is a little confusing because on the previous card, 596 was shot on the right and 591 was shot on the left, whereas this one is kind of backwards. But it did quite a bit better. 365. Okay, so this one is all right. This is the 596 and 596 there. The first one showed a 471. That's a 365. Okay, now that's a 264, 293, and 338. For a total average on the 596 here of 0.3150, whereas before it was 0.5087. So quite an improvement there. The 596, the 591 showed a lot of improvement. Also showed an improvement in the numbers too. Extreme spread of only 24 and an SD of 5.3, so that's really good. Came out to 318, 348, 267, and 273 for a four-group average of 30.3015. So tuner really helped out on those. Now, here was the surprise of the day. What you see on the right side of this card, I got sidetracked or went off on a tangent, started trying some different settings with different ammos, and kind of experimenting. And as you can probably tell by the groups, the experiment didn't really go very well. On a couple of times it did. That's a pretty good group there. I hadn't even measured it, so is that. But everything else is not really acceptable. So I was time to go. I started packing up. I looked down. I looked through my scope, and I saw that this side of this card had not been shot. Well, I thought, well, we can't have that. So I decided I just grabbed some of the Wolf MT. Now, most of the time I'm using that stuff in my open sight 25-yard range stuff. Like I said, I use that lab radar all the time, so I've got a lot of numbers on that Wolf, and the numbers aren't great. It's SDs or standard extreme spreads between 40 and 60 with SDs running anywhere between 9 and 13. So I had never shot that ammo out of this rifle, except for today. I grabbed a box of it, stuck it in there, and look at that 5-shot group, 162. I thought, probably a fluke. Decided to try the Midas again, because they're both Lapua. They use the same, lubricant on the bullet. So, it's a valid thing to do to swap between the two. And the Midas shot a .325, or excuse me, .322. Well, I tried it again, .401. Tried the Wolf again, .157. I looked over on this side of the card to try to find another place to shoot one more group, and I did, right there in the corner. Wolf MT, .217. Three group average on the Wolf, 1.17866. Whereas the Midas on the two-shot, .36150. I mean, the Wolf just killed the Midas in this rifle. I didn't have time to explore this further, to try other groups, and because I had to go. Unfortunately, I didn't have my lab radar. I had already kind of packed it up, but I'm definitely going to be looking into this further. And if this is if this continues and shows to be that's what this lot of Wolf is going to shoot, I'm going to be one happy camper, because I have got two cases of it. So in case you're interested, if you got Wolf hanging around and you want to see, there's the lot number. I guess 370. What is that, 6 or 8? I guess that's an 8, in case you're having a hard time seeing it. So it's 378.4 there at the end. So yeah, this thing was quite a surprise. And it was an interesting day, interesting way to finish the day. So, well, anyway, that's my ammo test. Hope I didn't bore you to tears. And I hope it gave you some information you can use. Once again, thanks for watching. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.